President calls for restraint on war in the Middle East. Demands for development amidst 9th National Veterans Day celebrations. New flights announced to Malaysia and Australia. 17-year-old rising star from Baucau named Timor-Leste's best young footballer. Welcome back to RTTL World News. I'm Sonia Madeira. Timor-Leste's president has condemned the assassination of Iran's supreme leader, calling for an end to the military campaign against Iran. He also condemned Iran's attacks on neighboring countries. The conflict has closed a vital shipping channel, cutting off 20% of the world's gas and oil.
The president of Timor-Leste has condemned the assassination of Iran's supreme leader. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed during a targeted wave of airstrikes by Israel and the United States on Iran's capital, Tehran, over the weekend.
Timor-Leste condemns the attacks by the United States and Israel on Iran and the assassination of the Iranian leader. This violates the United Nations resolution and is contrary to international law.
In retaliation, Iran launched attacks on neighboring nations, including the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia.
They did not attack Iran. No aircraft or missiles were targeted. Timor-Leste stands in solidarity with the countries attacked by Iran.
President Ramazzotta confirmed there were Timorese people located in Israel and the United Arab Emirates at the time of the attacks, but says so far he has no information about their safety.
I don't know whether they are safe or not. I have asked through Israeli authorities to check on them.
In Australia, there was support for the attacks against Iran.
Well, what we are supportive of is the US making a decision about stopping Iran getting nuclear weapons and also about stopping the role that Iran has played in undermining peace and security in the region.
Indonesia's foreign ministry took to social media to offer President Prabowo Subianto's assistance in mediating the conflict. The post stated that the Indonesian government expressed its readiness to facilitate dialogue to restore a conducive security situation. If agreed by both parties, the Indonesian president is willing to travel to Tehran to mediate. In Vatican City, Pope Leo pleaded for a peaceful resolution to the conflict.
I make a heartfelt appeal to the parties involved to assume the moral responsibility to stop the spiral of violence before it becomes an irreparable abyss.
Around the world, there is concern about the transport of a fifth of the world's fuel after the Iran Revolutionary Guard Corps closed the Strait of Hormuz to shipping. Speaking with RTTL World News from Australia, energy finance analyst Kevin Morrison said the price of oil has increased by roughly 10% since the closure, while gas prices are up almost 50% in the Asia-Pacific and fears this could cause inflation in Timor-Leste.
The ships and the road transport, they're all going to be paying higher fuel prices, so therefore the cost of transportation of food particularly will go up, and that could feed through to inflation.
Mr. Morrison compared the situation to Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, which saw inflation in Timor-Leste rise to almost 8%.
A lot of the increases in prices happened weeks and months after the start of that conflict, as people became more concerned about the global supplies of energy.
He warned that the longer this conflict lasts, the greater it will impact Timor-Leste.
You know, we could be facing supply shortages, and so that there'd be more concern, and that could in turn put up prices even further.
President Ramaphosa strongly urged all parties to return to the negotiating table and seize all opportunities for de-escalation. He spoke with the President of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, earlier this week, reaffirming his solidarity.
We cannot do anything, and even major powers like Russia and China cannot do anything.
United States President Donald Trump said the conflict was initially projected to last 4 to 5 weeks and could last longer.
Timorese veterans commemorated the 9th anniversary of National Veterans Day, reflecting on the 24-year struggle for independence. The president of Timor-Leste paid tribute to the nation's heroes and martyrs, while veterans urged national leaders to unite for the country's fight for development.
The 3rd of March, 1981 is a historic day for Timor-Leste's guerrilla fighters. On this day, the Timorese, led by Xanana Gusmão, reorganized their struggle for independence. This year's celebration of National Veterans Day began with a military parade and singing of Timor-Leste's national anthem.
We pay tribute to the heroes and martyrs of the nation. We remember those who throughout 24 years of the liberation struggle faced adversity with courage, discipline, and an unshakable faith in the independence of Timor-Leste.
President José Ramos Horta emphasized that Timor-Leste's independence came with many sacrifices.
Our freedom was not a gift of history. It was won through sacrifice, organization, unity, and an extraordinary sense of mission.
Domingo Sarmiento Gama was a member of the Timorese youth resistance who now serves in the police force. He demanded that national leaders once again unite to liberate people from poverty and misery.
Before, in the phase of liberation of the country, they were together, but after liberation they split. So as a veteran, I demand the brothers must be together. Sit together, one mind, one heart, give hands to each other to liberate our people.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament Maria Goromali Barreto urged veterans to seek recognition from the state and claim their right to a pension.
The challenge that the fighters face is that some veterans have not received recognition from the state. We would like to ask the veterans who make claims about their contribution to independence to continue to have witnesses, evidence, and complete documents to be recognized by the state of Timor-Leste.
After the ceremony, Timor-Leste's Minister of Veterans Affairs, Gil da Costa Wansoro, gathered with veterans to reflect on their personal experiences in the struggle for independence.
We reflect on the past to reaffirm our present and project a better future through our actions and contributions to our development of this country.
Every Timorese has to be proud that this result, this independence, is part of their life and the coming generation life. So we have to thank those died for this country.
Event organizer John Miranda reflected on a positive and reflective event, urging the next generation to carry these Timorese values into the future.
I would like to ask the new generation to follow all the attitudes that our fellow veterans had, especially to the martyrs who gave their lives for this country, so that we can lead our country with dignity and lead the people to a better life.
Hundreds of proud Timorese personifying the day's theme, Unity in Diversity with a Sense of Nationhood. Vicky Madeira, Judas Magno, RTTL World News.
Rttl has announced expansion into Malaysian and Australian markets, with flights to Kuala Lumpur and Darwin to commence in coming months. The new routes mark another step in connecting Timor-Leste to the world and creating more opportunities for travel, medical access, and tourism.
Rttl has announced services will launch to Kuala Lumpur from March 28, followed by the launch of its Darwin service from May 24.
The new destination for Rttl now We provide to this next month, we fly to Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur on 28th, on March, maybe two times a week, on Tuesday and Saturday.
Rttl is Timor-Leste's national flag carrier, founded by Mr. de Oliveira in 2018. From its hub in Dili, the carrier utilizes 3 aircrafts to service routes from Dili to Denpasar, Singapore, Saiman, Fuzhou, and domestically to Equisi.
Rttl can fly to Singapore, can fly to China, can fly to Australia. The safety must be number one in the world, same with others.
The local community has reacted with excitement to the growth of a locally owned business.
This is a great pride for Timor-Leste, especially through Rttl, to promote Timor-Leste's flag and image in the international war.
As Timorese, we must be proud of what our fellow Timorese do. We cannot just wait for others, we have to act.
Australians living in Dili also expressed their appreciation of the new Darwin route.
At the moment, there are quite limited options to fly to Darwin, even though it's so close. So having more flights will be really great. It will enable more Australians living in Timor to go home, but also more people to visit Timor.
The Dili to Darwin road is currently serviced by Australian companies Qantas and Airline at least once a day, while Malaysian company Batik Air services Dili to Kuala Lumpur 3 times a week. Jerry Madeira, RTTL World News.
Nearly half of Timorese children under 5 are stunted, with organizations like UNICEF working to address chronic malnutrition across the country. UNICEF Global Spokesperson James Elder is in Timor-Leste to see firsthand how climate change is affecting the development of young people. He spoke with RTTL World News reporter Vicky Madeira about what he saw.
Mr. Elder, why have you chosen to visit Timor-Leste?
The main focus is to look at climate change. What is a climate crisis? I think that for a lot of people around the world, the climate crisis is a bit abstract. It's something they see in reports. The reality is it's happening now, and it's happening as always to children, right? Children are very much at the center of this. And you have places like Timor-Leste where people have almost no carbon footprint. They almost make no impact. And yet already they're seeing a changing climate. So it's important we show people around the world what is happening, why this is real, how it's hurting children, and also what communities are doing. That people here are not passive, they are doing things about it. So for those reasons, and I'm Australian, I've always wanted to come to Timor-Leste, but the focus is on the climate.
So what programs did you visit, and what programs stood out to you?
UNICEF is lucky that we have many, many programs, and for us everything centres on the child. And so what does a child need? They need education. So I visited schools and saw the most amazing, energetic children and teachers. Nutrition is fundamental. You can't study if you don't have good nutrition. So I saw our nutrition programs. Healthcare, I walked through the hills with a nutritionist, a vaccinator, mother-to-mother peer workers, and of course water. Children need water, they need food. And so I saw sanitation, I saw families who used to walk for an hour to get water, and now they have a tap right at their doorstep. I had a mother explain to me the difference it makes that her newborn will not have to make that long trek to get water. So water, sanitation, health, nutrition, all of these are the package around a child, and I saw them all.
So how do these challenges compare to those faced by children in the conflict zones you have visited?
Children in Timor-Leste face a lot of challenges. There are big nutrition problems. And if you've got bad nutrition or stunting, and then you have an issue with water or dengue, then you're already attacking a child at their weakest point. And that's a reality for children here. That's something that UNICEF and the government is working on very hard. When you're in a conflict zone, when you're in a Gaza or Sudan or Ukraine, that's very different. That's a level of terror. That's where children hear things in the sky and they realize there are bombs and they're looking for bunkers. So that's a mental health problem. That's an issue of children being hit by shrapnel. So those two things are very different. But children everywhere everywhere around the world are facing the threat of a climate crisis. And we're somehow going backwards, that we have leaders around the world questioning whether this is real. It's very real, and you see that in Timor-Leste, you see that in my country, in Australia, you see that everywhere, and yet day after day, the world is not making the decisions they need to make for children today.
So during you being in Timor-Leste, what did you hear from the children about the direct effects of climate change?
Yeah, it's a great question. Lots of things, everything from, when there's floods, we don't get to school. And you forget, people think children love a day off school. Most kids want to be in a classroom, so you hear that. They explain to me when there's a flood and there's a siren, what do? They spoke about the fear. I asked a group of 6 children just a few hours ago, when it's a big storm, how are you? And they said, no, it's terrifying because big storms often mean floods. They explained to me the other end of a flood, droughts, and what a drought will mean, and how they have to walk further for water, and how the water risks being not clean, and if it's not clean, they get sick. This whole cycle. So again, it's not theoretical for girls and boys here. They're living it. At the same time, they will explain to me how important it is to grow trees, how important it is to ensure that, that cattle aren't used everywhere where there should be trees. So they also understand how to protect their environment. Beautifully, they also explain to me that they see their environment as stunning, and it is, but I wanted to know from them, do they wake up every day and go, oh, my goodness, how beautiful this is? And they do.
Mr. Eller, you are meeting with the Prime Minister during your visit. What will be discussed in this meeting?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to be meeting with the President and the Prime Minister, who is an Australian, were 2 people I held in very, very high regard for decades. So in some ways, I just like to listen to them. But we will talk about the climate crisis, talk about UNICEF and the government's partnership. It's critical. The more we work together, everything UNICEF does is in support of the government. They are the lead here. So I want to hear from them about the things that they want to see more of, the challenges that they see. So to a very large degree, I want to hear from them, both because of their stature, but also because no one knows the country better than your President and your Prime Minister.
Okay, so our last question. What is your opinion on the conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran? How concerned are you for the civilians and children in affected areas?
Oh, UNICEF is hugely concerned. It's what the world cannot afford. We're now seeing children killed in Lebanon, obviously many children killed in Iran. As I say, many, many thousands in Gaza. We've seen blockade again on Gaza that we hope is being lifted as we speak. So, yeah, extremely concerned, and we make that point all the time to leaders. It's one of the special things about UNICEF. On one hand, we're out in the field like I was today, seeing water points that communities are using now. On the other hand, we're in the halls of power talking to world leaders about focusing on children, particularly those children who seem to be increasingly under fire.
It is a fantastic interview with you, Mr. Eller.
That was great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Less than a year after relocating to Delhi to chase his football dreams, a young man from Baucau has become a star in the FFTL League Cup. 17-year-old Ramísio Moreira earned Best Young Player of the tournament for his contribution in Emmanuel FC's victory in the FFTL League Cup final, defeating Caquetá 1-0.
Tears amidst happiness. Emmanuel FC players and fans celebrated a historic night after becoming champions for the first time in the Timor-Leste Cup competition. Meanwhile, on the bench, Ramísio Moreira couldn't hold back his tears.
I cried because I had been training really hard and we got the best results.
To top of the victory, the 17-year-old named the best young player in the tournament.
I feel proud, and this award motivates me to keep training hard so I can compete stronger in the future.
Moreira became the pride of his family, who traveled from Baucau to witness his triumphant moment.
I feel proud and thankful to the Emmanuel FC that called up my son to join their team, and thank God he could be the best young player.
He was awarded a motorbike and $2,000 in cash.
It's the first time my son has come here. I don't have money to buy a motorbike for him, and it's such a miracle he can win the motorbike in this competition.
His coach said Ramisu deserved the award because of his composure in playing in big matches, even when facing senior players.
In our 5 matches, we played Ramisu in various positions: left back, right back, defensive and attacking midfielder, winger and a striker. We played Ramisu in all of these positions, and the reality is that he's incredibly talented and our best player.
I never felt afraid because I came from a rural area and I had to come with a strong mentality. I was never afraid to step forward.
Ramisu's career was launched just last June when he was selected to play for the Timor-Leste national team in the CPLP games in Dili.
Since I was little, I trained in my village Mulia, and then I was selected to represent the Baucau municipality, where we competed against other municipalities. Eventually, I was selected for the national team to compete in CPLP games in Dili.
He consistently featured in the starting 11 in the CPLP competition, ultimately winning the heart of Emmanuel FC.
When FFTL organized this competition, they required all contestant teams to involve at least 3 young players in their teams. And then the Emmanuel coach called me to join their team.
From humble beginnings with limited opportunities, Ramisu has become a beacon of hope for young footballers from all across Timor-Leste. Zagedes, RTTL World News.
Researchers in Queensland have detected a fungal pathogen that is spreading through Brisbane's much-loved water dragon population. Not a lot is known about it, but they're worried it could have wider implications for Australia's reptile species.
For more than 15 years, University of Queensland researchers have been studying eastern water dragons in Brisbane's Roma Street parkland.
It's become infected with the fungus there, that's that yellow bit there. So it's entered through the wound and then started an infection in the skin.
But something they first spotted on a single water dragon in 2013 now has them worried.
We caught this individual and we started seeing these yellow crusts on its skin, and I remember we went back to the field notes and we said strange disease on the skin, and that's how it began.
Now half of the reptiles in the parkland are infected with a fungal pathogen causing skin lesions.
Occasionally what can happen is that the lesion gets so bad that the animal's limb might fall off or they start to lose digits and so on.
Researchers say little is known about the fungus itself. That includes where it comes from and the effect it could have on Australia's diverse reptile population.
It doesn't have any treatment and can basically impact the majority of the reptile species we have in Australia, and yet we know so very little about it, and that to me is a problem.
Experts say fungal diseases are a growing concern around the world.
Wildlife disease is something that's incredibly understudied in general, and so the more we learn, unfortunately, like in this study, the more we realise what a potential threat it is to Australia's biodiversity.
And now the weather with Jagedes.
Thanks, Sonia. Here's the weather for tomorrow, starting with Dili. Cloudy with afternoon showers, a high of 30 and a low of 25. In Baucau, a couple of showers in the morning, otherwise cloudy, breezy and humid, a top of 26 and a low of 22. A passing shower or 2 in the morning in Lauten, otherwise cloudy and windy, temperatures ranging between 27 and 23. Cloudy and humid with showers in Bobonaro, a top temperature of 26 and a low of 20. And cloudy and humid in Aileu with possible thunderstorms, temperatures ranging between 23 and 17. Now, looking abroad, Kupang will see a couple of showers in the morning, otherwise cloudy, a top of 30 and a low of 25. Hot with hazy sun in Bali, a high of 27 and a low of 20. Jakarta, cloudy and breezy, occasional rain and a thunderstorm in the morning, a top of 29 and a low of 23. Clouds yielding to the sun in Seoul, temperatures ranging between 7 and -4. Darwin is looking increasingly windy with thick cloud cover and a passing afternoon shower, a top of 30 and a low of 25. Partly sunny and humid in Sydney, a top of 28 and a low of 22 degrees. In Lisbon, a couple of morning showers, otherwise cloudy and windy, temperatures ranging between 13 and 10. In London, cloudy and cooler with a shower, a high of 14 and a low of 8. Plenty of sun over Belfast, top temperatures of 11 and a low of just 1. That's all for now. Back to you, Sonia.
Thanks, Geddes. And thanks for joining us again on the program. RTTL World News will be back with more stories on Sunday. Bye for now.